Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 51st edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zack, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jaden.
G'day.
As well as John Cena, a.k.a. The Peacemaker, a.k.a. Fitzy, a.k.a. Liam.
Hello.
Hello. For those of you who don't know, this is Cinema Effect. It's a podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, all the real professional places podcasts are found, because that's exactly what we are. Subscribe and all those things. Follow the Instagram page. And yeah, just support us. Like, there's all the links are in the description. Just click them, just follow things. I don't know what's there anymore, but do that. We'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comment section down below, or send us a DM on Instagram. But our specific question of the show this week is all building up to our very special episode next week. It's going to be exciting, though. But the question is, who is better, Godzilla or Kong, to celebrate the release of I was about to say summer blockbuster, because that's what it feels like it should be, but it's not summer anywhere in the world, actually. So it's disappointing. Of the new film hit release, so who is better, Godzilla or Kong, in your opinion? Or as Fitzy said, you can sort of interpret the question however you want. I don't really care. Just let us know. This week we're reviewing the Bourne Ultimatum, which opened in the US on the 3rd of August 2007. It was once again directed by Mr. Paul Greengrass, friend of the show. The genre is an action thriller, and the synopsis reads, Jason Bourne dodges a ruthless CIA official and his agents from a new assassination program while searching for the origins of his life as a trained killer. Fitzy, were you disappointed by the Bourne Ultimatum? I know you're excited for the conclusion to the OT of Bourne. How'd it go for you?
No, I thought it met expectations. I thought it was pretty fantastic. All these films are really fast paced, but this one in particular was really quick and just amazing set pieces. Tangiers and, the whole journalist thing in the train station and all that. It was just great action in this one. Probably the best action in the whole trilogy, so.
It was. I feel like we need to do like a 30-minute breakdown of the London opening sequence with the journalist. It was something. What about you, Jaden?
Yeah, I really loved it. I think once again I was kind of expecting a massive dip, because that's just how I've been expecting the series to go. But I honestly think it's my favorite one yet. I do think that the action's better. I think it's evident how much the crew's built upon what they've known, and I think the story's really engaging this time around. I feel like, I think the payoff in Supremacy was pretty good, but I think this time around, finally unraveling that mystery is very, very satisfying,
It is. I think I'm overall with you both, but where I'm interested to start getting into like which ones we prefer exactly and how we rank them, because I think we're going to differ a little bit. But I think the movie's pretty dope. I liked it a lot. Had a great time. The stuff it does for Bourne's character is neat. The revelations, what you were saying, Jane, super satisfying. And it's cool without ever getting super in-depth. Like, I feel like the movie is at risk. This is something like we talk about the pacing all the time. It's at risk of getting bogged down in background and backstory and giving us too much explanation of Bourne, and it really is efficient in not doing that. It just gives us the surface level of what we need to understand about his past, and it's really cool the way it's done. And then you still sort of have a lot of it's still ambiguous, which is neat. But great action set pieces, sequences for the most part, bar one, in my opinion. And an amazing third act. The third act was cool, and it closes the trilogy really strong. I was not expecting. I want to talk about how this movie starts real quick. I was not expecting to dive right in to Moscow again, and this be like a direct sequel to Supremacy, but not just be a direct sequel, do something that I've never seen a movie do in my life, and use the ending of a previous film in the franchise, recontextualize it, and use it as a plot point. I was impressed by it, the fact that like the majority of this movie takes place between before the last scene of Supremacy was weird. And when the scene happened in this movie of the Supremacy ending, I thought I was tripping out for a second. I was like,
Mm.
is Bourne... Because we made the joke last week, is Bourne going to do the same thing again, where he's like on the building and he's like, what does he say? What do you say? You look tired or whatever? Is he going to do it again? And he did it again. I'm like, what? And then it took 5 seconds for me to click. It's literally the exact same moment. But I can't complain, can I? I'd be a hypocrite if I complained about it. It was neat. It was cool. Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty unique. Were you guys, I don't know, were you surprised? I thought we'd take another step back like we did from Identity to Supremacy and pick up with Bourne again maybe a few years later after he's gone on his lonesome as a rogue. But, dude, we jumped right into it and the music just kicked right in. Started pretty strong. Were you, I don't know, were you surprised by this, people, at all?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because in the end of Supremacy, like it feels like that's a scene where he's like, you know, going off into the distance, but it's a part of all the action in that. So that's good.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's recontextualizing it because the exact same moment in Supremacy, it's like this. In that movie, it's like this relieving moment of like, oh, Jason's free now. He's off. and he's sort of completed his arc in that movie. But it's so cool how in this movie it's sort of the opposite. Like he's actually going off and he's still very much ingrained in that journey. Because he's like deep in the action in that moment in this movie. I need to talk about this London sequence. The whole communicating with Ross, the journalist. It was amazing. It's somehow in the first, this is like the first set piece. Oh, no, it wasn't. I mean, Moscow had a quick one. So it was in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And, dude, it totally built on everything I liked about Supremacy's similar sequences. But it was just, it was insane. Bourne messing with the phones and like putting the phone in his pocket so they don't know. And every time we cut back to the CIA dudes in the room, and they just got no clue what's happening.
Like,
they're
totally
just so
confused.
They're just constantly confused. And every time it's like, where's his phone? Why is his phone off? Why isn't he talking? Because they can see he's talking on a phone. Why isn't it his phone? And Bourne's is like constantly messing with it, because he's telling Ross what to do the whole time. The moment. I'm so sorry if you haven't seen the movie. You really should have, because this makes no sense. But if you have, hopefully you're grinning from ear to ear right now, because this is terrific. The moment when he's talking to Ross and he's telling him what to do, and he tells him to like stand next to the hooded guy and face the other way to make the CIA dudes think that the guy in the hood is Bourne, and they go after the hooded guy.
Oh, that was great. Yeah,
it was so good. That was so good. And we just we cut back to them again, and they're like, what? They just have no clue what's happening, and tells him to tie his shoe to duck quickly, and just constantly. It's so good. It's like It's like Bourne's this genius at spatial awareness and espionage, and he's just leading this blind dude who's got no idea what he's doing. But it was awesome, and it ended really strong too when old mate Ross got totally blasted. I felt bad for him.
That was good. Yeah.
And it was especially cool because that sort of moment in movies where Ross making the decision, he's like, I'm going to ignore Bourne right now and I'm going to run for it. And Bourne's like, don't run for it. And he runs for it anyway. That would sort of annoy me. But given the stress of the circumstances that we're ingrained in for 10 minutes, given that Ross listened to literally everything Bourne set up until that point, I bought it. It was fine. It was like, in that situation, I can see myself doing the same thing and just shitting myself and going, I feel like I have to do something right now. So I'm just going to run. No, it was a dreadful mistake. Obviously, you got to listen to old mate Jason. Is there anything? I don't know. Did you guys like this as much as I did? Because I thought it was
great.
Top tier.
Yeah, it's probably the best sequence that uses Bourne's strategy side. Because the Tangiers fight was I think the best action sequence in the film in terms of just the actual fighting of Desh and I thought Nikki was going to die there. There was a lot of tension there, and running across all the buildings and stuff. That was great. But with this, as you said, telling Ross what to do and messing with the phones and all that, it was just really it was funny and it was satisfying. So
yeah, it was exactly what we're talking about from the supremacy of it. It's so fun to watch, and it's super entertaining and really services the character at the same time. You just really get the vibe constantly that he ain't messing with Jason Bourne when he's on his game. Is Tangier in Morocco?
Yeah, Morocco. Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because I have an action set piece listed as Morocco, and I just don't want to. I want to make sure I'm not getting it mixed up, and they're the same one we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a city in Morocco.
Okay, terrific, cool. I know we're talking about the same one when we get there. Then that's good.
Bourne has like a much more active role in this film, I guess, because he's like hunting down the, the source and the journalist, and he's just going after everything, which is like a really good, arc throughout the trilogy. He's being hunted, and he's a hunter,
Yeah, no, totally. Because in Supremacy, right? It was basically just he's trying to find out why he's being hunted.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a more active role in that film as well than Identity, but this it feels like he's going all out. Like he's going straight to the FBI office and all that.
Totally, yeah. He's reached his peak. Here. I will say, slight criticism of the story, and to get this out of the way, I do think Supremacy is better, but and that might just be because Supremacy, like, I was so blown away by how much I enjoyed it, and this is sort of now has to follow its lead, I guess, for me. But kicking this movie off in its first plot point being that he has another traumatized memory that he wants to get to the bottom of, like, I don't think it's bad. I don't want to set that impression up, but it felt like, okay, we're doing this again. It's getting very, like, it feels very much like it's running its course here. If this were to happen again, it would be pretty inexcusable for me at that point. But it's fine. I think it's fine within the context of this original trilogy of the amnesia still and the trauma of that still constantly overhanging him as a character. So I can forgive it. But I did, when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, great. Here we go again. But and what it led to was really cool too. But it was an element, I think, I don't know. It was a bit harder for me to get behind entirely when it first showed up. Now, I just want to be happy for a minute, everyone. All right. In Supremacy, all I asked for was, can we please get a sped up editing hand combat sequence? And I got it. It was 30 seconds. Would I have liked a bit more because I'm selfish? Yeah, but I can't complain. I got it. It was really good. I'm happy. I'll take it. It was just after they're still in London, and it was just a bit after Ross dies, and he's in the hallway with taking on like the 4 dudes at once, and it was.
Oh, cool. Okay. I thought you were going to say Dash. But...
Yeah, I was going to say that whole Dash sequence where he's fighting in like that room and. Like that was like 3 minutes of like hand to hand that I thought you would have enjoyed.
No, that was more in the vein of the dude in his apartment in Identity and the other Treadstone agent in Supremacy in his house, because it was 1-on-1, and it wasn't there wasn't a huge amount of fast motion, if memory serves. I don't think there was. I thought that hand-to-hand stuff was good too, but it wasn't exactly in the style I was looking for. But it's fine because I got it earlier in the movie, so at that point I wasn't pissed off at it,
Well, like in terms of hand-to-hand, the Dash fight to me was like easily like the most intense fight of the series. Like it felt like Dash was like overpowering him, and like it was hard. It was a hard fight to watch, like for Bourne. And, he didn't want to kill him there, but he kind of had to, so.
It was good. Yeah, I agree. I think comparing it to the other, one-on-one hand-to-hand combat in the trilogy, it's definitely the best. And having Nikki in there as sort of another factor to consider was...
Yeah.
I didn't like the lead up to it. I thought Morocco as a set piece in terms of what we're doing in the streets was a bit underwhelming. Not bad. I've seen way worse, but... I thought it was weirdly paced. It went on really... Like, I felt like we spent 8 minutes of just Dash following Nikki through the streets. It went forever. And then when we finally got inside, it was cool. Is that... did you guys feel that at all? Or do you see where I'm coming from? Just as I was watching it, I just felt like there wasn't a lot happening at the start.
I really enjoyed that sequence. Like, the entirety of it. the rooftop, the chase, just after the explosion, all of it. I thought that was
Yeah. Well, what made it like good for me was that like you're also following Bourne at that time getting chased by the police and the way he evades them, and he's trying to focus on two things at once. It kind of makes it. Plus, I thought Nikki was really in trouble there. Like, I thought they'd kill her off. So I was like,
yeah,
worried.
And they very well could have too, because she's not really used again, except in that awesome final shot. But as a character, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I saw a thing. And I was like, after she left the cafe, she didn't have a single speaking line for the rest of the movie. I mean, she didn't speak for the rest of the movie. Although she was shown like quite a bit.
Yeah, she was. It was cool to see her pop up again, and she's being that she's not. It's weird. Like, she's obviously an important character in the sense she appears in all three films, and she has plot significance. But it's this weird thing of, we don't really know her very well. She doesn't really speak a whole lot, really. So it feels weird calling her an important character, but it was cool to see her again come up. I will say, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, all right? Paul Greengrass states in the DVD commentary that the relationship between Nikki and Bourne prior to his amnesia was deliberately scripted and filmed as ambiguous but significant. I didn't get this at all. I feel like, when I read this, I was like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't get it when I was watching the movie, And maybe that I'm not going to blame the movie because I thought maybe it's just me, but...
It was most evident when they're in the cafe just after, escaping Madrid or wherever they were leaving from. And she asks, you really don't remember anything, and like this time it seems like really like an intimate question. Like But it does feel weird because like she didn't feel like that type of character at all in the rest of the series, especially in the first one. She felt very estranged to him.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether this was like a retroactive decision or whether it was intended and it was just never was conveyed. But in this one, I did feel that relationship, especially her willingness to help him straight away.
Yeah,
I feel like that was explained by their previous relationship.
Yeah, because I just thought it was weird because she helps immediately. She immediately betrays the CIA, and the moment where she I love how they use the camera to show us this information, but when it's like she's under duress and she has to say one of two code words to whether or not she's at gunpoint or not, essentially. That was a cool spy moment. But anyway, when she helps immediately, I took a note and thought it was weird. And yeah, the moment you're totally right, Jan. Like, in retrospect, I see that in that line. But in the scene, I sort of interpreted it as just her hinting towards his past in terms of his origins as David Webb and things we're going to learn in the third act, not actually their relationship. Which totally, I can see how that would work too, but in the moment I didn't get that. And I do think, to your point, it's a bit of a shame that it didn't seem to be something they were focusing on in the previous movies at all. It's cool that if that's the idea they were going for here, and I appreciate the decision to, I like subtle relationship and character building, but doing it only in this movie and in leaving it to a few lines is a little, not quite enough for me,
Yeah. I mean, in the first one, she's just another operative.
CIA lackey.
Yeah.
Lackey. Such an interesting word. I don't know, like lackey always...
It is a weird word.
I don't know, just hits me weird,
I actually don't know what it means. I've only, I only hear it in context of referring to, so I understand how to use it, but I don't know what it means. I don't know what the definition is. When Zemo showed up as Marie's brother, I only wrote it down. I wrote it down, and I only remembered it because I wrote it down. If I didn't write that down, there is zero chance I'd mention it today. It was a fine scene. It's sort of weird to remind us of Marie in that way, I get they're trying to link back to Marie and the trauma of that, but I thought they did a good enough job of that when they had the mental psychological sequence of the flashbacks that he was dealing with, and they flash back to that really cool shot of Marie fading in the water. I thought that was enough. I don't know. I thought this brother was going to be a character in this movie. It was sort of odd.
When he first rocked up, I thought it was I didn't realize. I thought it was Paddy Considine, and I thought Bourne was already in his apartment. It was about to murk it. But then like as soon like when he came into focus more,
You thought it was who?
the journalist,
Ross.
Oh,
because like
Yeah.
it goes straight from that meeting with the CIA dude to his apartment. I was like,
yeah, it did. It was weird. I guess they just felt like they wanted to connect Marie in a more physical sense to the film again. And they want to emphasize her significance to the story, which is fair enough. I understand.
Wasn't there a brother in the first one though that they went to the house too? Was that Marie's brother?
I totally forgot about that character. That was weird. Wasn't it just like a friend?
Just a mate, yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
But then
I thought it was a
character
brother,
never comes up again, dude.
I mean, that's because he ran away. Because Bourne told him to run away to save his kids.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was, yeah. Well, dude, I completely forgot about that character until you just mentioned him, Fitzy. And now that I'm thinking about it on the spot, that would have been cool if he were in that scene.
Oh,
Sort of
I
connects
guess so.
it, makes it justified,
I was just mentioning because I thought that he was a brother as well, but maybe apparently not. So.
I'm gonna ask now, what was the ultimatum?
It was his choice, I guess, to become Bourne. The ultimatum.
Oh, so it's a reference to an already past. Okay, that makes a lot. Yeah, okay, I was okay. From the title, I was expecting him to make a choice now. Okay, that makes more sense.
Same. Yeah,
That's cool. Let's do it. All right. Jason Bourne, we learned at the end of the previous movie that his real name is David Webb. That's all we knew, right? I made the comment, I think, in that episode that, it would have been cool if we learned that as a trilogy ending thing. I was so wrong because we definitely learned way more interesting stuff here. Well, it's still being vague and interesting because they never say it. He's clearly some sort of war vet. Mentions how he can't sleep. Clearly struggling with PTSD or trauma of some sort, which unfortunately in his new life doesn't really change for him. It was cool. It was really neat. I think and now that I think about it, it's actually sort of a fairly obvious route to go with a character like Bourne. Like thinking about how spies or how someone like him might be recruited and his line of work prior. It makes a lot of sense, but I still was surprised by it. And the way in which those scenes are shot and executed is really, really great. Like I said, they never mention by word his occupation or his situation explicitly. It's like not very subtly, I guess, shot with the dog tags, but still cool stuff. And when he struggles to kill the first dude in the corner, it was a really cool scene, that flashback, because I felt why that would stick with him. Because he's so hesitant to do it for so long. He's like, I really don't want to do this. Really struggles with it. And then he has a moment where he just snaps and does it. It wasn't this drawn out. He's sweating and he eventually pulls the trigger. He just snapped and did it. And I can see why. I mean, killing a human being either way would stick with you, obviously. But just the way in which that was shot and the framing of that to the flashbacks, I thought was really effective. And it makes it even better than when that sort of comes up again and services his arc in the modern day really strongly. What do you guys think of the revelation with Jason Bourne in this movie? You mentioned at the start, Jane, but you were satisfied with this reveal explicitly? Were you talking about, or are you going beyond that into the actual ending?
Just with his origins, the fact that it's kind of what you touched on, the fact that he was just a military man. Like he wasn't trained as a super CIA agent, it was something that was brought into. And I think, the fact that he's obviously someone with a past, but who's not overly significant is a cool thing, I guess you kind of need that for the CIA.
He didn't have super soldier serum pumped into his veins.
I guess whatever. Like for the CIA, you can't be a name. So yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and that whole scene of him when they're in that room and he's really living that experience, like the score in that. I think it's called. I can't remember what the piece is called, but it's probably like very, it rings in your ears, and it really feels like it's trying hard to make you feel like you're in his part with the way it's constructed, that score, and it was really effective. And I think the way you talked about the fact that he does just snap, and I think and the fact that it doesn't linger on it too long, the fact that it immediately gets back into it, I just thought all that stuff was really nice.
Yeah, it's a great example of the pacing and the snappiness of the editing. We talk about it a lot in terms of letting the action just feel like it's flowing, and let them, obviously the movie feels like it flies by in that same sense, but also like serves character moments too. Which is something I don't really mention often, or I don't think we talk about often, but it totally applies here.
I think the payoff for a lot of the characters. I think Nikki kind of got a bit shafted with her, with how she just got told to run away. But like, I think the payoff for Landy, and of his the new like asset character, and like even of like the CIA dude who's trying to track him down or whatever. I think the consequences for all of them is pretty nice. That asset choosing not to shoot and shit like that. And,
yeah, really, really good. And the way we deal with other, agents and other Treadstone dudes in the previous movies is cool, because they come in and out of the movie and they're antagonists and their plot points and whatever. But the way this movie, I feel like really is deliberate with how it handles those two characters, specifically the main asset guy, the white dude, and what was the other guy's name, Fitzy?
Desh.
You had him earlier. Desh, thank you.
Sorry, I don't learn.
Those two characters.
I apologize.
Yeah, how dare you answer? But the very, very deliberate choice to constantly refer to them as assets is a nice touch, and I could see where they were going with it, and it paid off really good. It was cool. Because obviously it strips them of their humanity, and then we get to the end, the moment, hey, don't, if anyone out there is writing an English essay on the Bourne Ultimatum, all right, feel free to steal this one, all right? So, but when we get to the end, it's really cool. I'm no longer Jason Bourne. He's stripping himself of that identity, get it, that he was given from external forces, CIA, out of his control. And he didn't want to kill Desh earlier in the movie, but was forced to. Thread continues. He spared the asset, capital A, in the car sequence. And that leads to asset guy choosing not to kill Jason Bourne either when they have their confrontation up on top of the roof. Really cool stuff. And then what's the line? It's something to the effect of look what they make us give up.
Yeah, look what they made you give. Yeah.
That's what
I thought that was the ultimatum for a bit. I thought it wasn't actually Bourne's, it was the assets ultimatum, and like I know
that's a cool way to
it obviously doesn't work because I guess like Bourne was just I was like trying to like fucking like fifth dimension this shit. I was like, all right, so Bourne was just an asset and this is another asset. So the ultimatum is that, everyone is like Bourne and it's just another identity for him. It's like, yeah, all right. There we go.
That's a topic set. That's a paragraph right there. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, going back to the ending though, going back to the flashback sequence with the doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting, as Jane said earlier, for the ultimatum to be something that Bourne would have to, like, carry out in the present. So when we got another flashback sequence at the end, I was kind of like, I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good, but because I wasn't expecting that kind of thing. Although that was obviously where the movie was leading with the flashbacks to the start and all that. So I mean, I was a little disappointed by that, but because I loved the ending so much, I rewatched some of that, and I mean, I think it was great. I just wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something better in the present, but I think now that I know that that's what it was about, something in the past, it's fine. Enjoy it now, I guess.
I see that, and I think the way when Bourne has the conversation with Landy at the front of the facility or whatever it is, and he's like, I'm doing this, I'm confronting my past, I'm doing it now, and he goes in, like, that's sort of, I felt it was a moment that was building towards what could be an ultimatum for him once he faces it inside, so I can understand how that could be seen that way, and sort of, that's how I felt, sort of could be disappointing.
Yeah, I guess it's also an ultimatum in that he doesn't kill the doctor or whatever. It's a choice, but
yeah, right. I think I guess there are a few, but I think the earlier answer of the past is definitely the ultimatum. It's the most significant, for sure, by far.
Should have been ultimatums with an S at the end.
The Bourne ultimatums doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but before we get to the actual like final shot stuff, which we haven't actually done yet. But sort of on your train of thought, Fitzy, with being slightly disappointed with elements of the ending. Like, I thought that the Doctor character and the actual Blackbriar, people, it was fine. It didn't. The reveal of him is cool. I like that actor. Don't think I've seen him in anything. He had good screen presence. But outside of that, though, it's like we meet him. He tells Bourne everything he needs to know, which again, as a story thing, is cool. But then the payoff for him is just, and he got locked up, and the news tells us he got locked up. It's like, okay, there wasn't anything really satisfying. Everything satisfying about the ending comes from Bourne. Doesn't really come from anything that happens with these other characters that are built towards in the memory earlier.
I really loved David Stratham in the film as Noah Verson, the new CIA guy. He was
Is he Kill Bill?
No.
Isn't Kill Bill in this movie? Am I tripping?
I think you're thinking of the CIA director, but I don't think that's the same person once again.
Is that not Bill?
No, that's not Bill.
Oh, does it look like him though? Am I?
Not really. I mean, Bill's like old, isn't he?
I kind of got
he was old.
I kind of got more Ed Harris vibes from him, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen him in something for sure. I thought it was Bill, but maybe.
What was his name?
Wait, but that's not who you're talking about, Fitzy. Who are you talking about?
Just the new CIA dude.
The dude that's going
who's in
him.
charge now. The main.
Oh yeah, sorry. Of course. Yeah, Noah is his name, right?
Yeah, Noah Verson. Yeah.
He's cool. He's really cool. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He has cool comedic moments like that play off Bourne. I think the moment when the whole thing that ties into the supremacy ending of the way Bourne manipulated the situation to get into his office was really cool. But then this made me laugh. I don't know if anyone else finds this funny, but when he drops in Noah's office, he's on the phone to Noah and he just tells him he's in his office, and Noah just screams like, it's a code 10 abort. A code 10 abort. What is a code 10 abort? You know what I mean? Like, how can you have different degrees of abort? Don't you just abort?
I mean, it's probably like an abort and fall back, and rather than an abort and like hide. Like, I don't know.
But it's a code 10. It's like, how many codes of abort are there? All right. We've broken down a lot of the ending. Things we liked, things we loved, things that were okay to us, But we haven't mentioned the actual last 30 seconds. And goddamn, dude. Goddamn, it was so good. Right.
Yeah.
It was so good. He falls in the water after being shot. We get the shot that mirrors the Bourne Identity shot, dude, of him, falling off the boat.
Yeah, how high of a drop was that? Because that was like 11 stories. It would have been concrete at that point, surely, right? I mean, that was a massive drop. And he didn't hit that safely. I mean, he should be fucking splattered.
No, he definitely didn't hit it safely. That's fair. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think there's but hey, he is Jason Bourne,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, so clearly that's all the logic you need. All right, so we get the Bourne Identity mirror shot, the news report, his body hasn't been found in 3 days, and all we get is Nikki smiles, and they just hit the music, and I'm like...
Yeah.
Hype,
I love that music so much, dude.
I started clapping. I'm like, dude, that was sick.
It made me emotional when that music started playing. I was like,
yeah, right?
That's so satisfying. Like, whoever thought of using that song at the ending should, get a raise.
Such a good ending song. And then he just swims away.
That's and in this one, they're like, it's like a different variation as well. I think each one is like slightly different. Yeah, because in this one, it delays it a little bit. So you can like feel the music coming, and then you like see him swimming. It's like, that's just great.
Oh, dude. Oh, I can't get over it, dude. People just watch all these movies just for the ending. It totally makes the journey worth it. They nailed it. And now, like, I feel like, sure, there's potentially, from this point in terms of just the continuity of the films, there's potentially more story to tell. Obviously, Bourne survives. But that felt like a solid ending to a trilogy, about a dude going on a character arc about finding his identity and then being the person he wants to be. Pretty standard character development shit, but really satisfying ending. And it makes me think to myself, like, sure, Bourne could go on more operations in the future, but do I want to see those? No, but we're going to. So
Are they both prequels from this point, or is it only Legacy that's a prequel?
Legacy happens
Ooh.
during one of the movies, I think.
Oh, I did not know this. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about Jason Bourne. I assumed it was a sequel, but I don't know that I actually never considered it. So that's a solid point.
I think Jason Bourne's a sequel. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be a sequel because it'd be hard to de-age Matt Damon. Like, fucking.
Yeah, he looks
15
older
years.
in that.
Yeah.
In that movie. Yeah. I mean, he looks how he looks. He doesn't look old. But,
Not
I mean,
trying to
like-
be too mean.
Vinny, do you have any fun trivia for us?
Oh, thank you. Oh, God, why aren't you hosting the show? That was great timing. The scene where Bourne calls Pam Landy. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually should have read this earlier because we've sort of talked about it, but it's still interesting information. The scene where Bourne calls Pam Landy while looking at her from a nearby building was reshot for this film. The footage was the Bourne Supremacy's ending. From the Bourne Supremacy's ending was not used.
I was gonna say because it did look different. For a second, I thought it was a different occasion, but I thought like Bourne was playing a recording of their previous thing to trick the CIA dude. But then I like what happened was obviously much more preferable. So
yeah. My head ran through all those options too in the space of 10 seconds.
It was really cool how she gave her the number to the like experimental officer or whatever, you know, as his
4/15/71.
Yeah, as his like birthday.
Yeah.
And then like the whole dynamic between Pamela and Noah Verson in this film was like pretty great. I thought when Noah Verson like caught her in that office and she was like faxing the confidential files or whatever, I thought he'd just shoot it there, to be honest. But no, he just like left it in. So
that would have been dark.
I like the implied past between them two as well. Because, when she first walks in and she's like, we can't just go around killing everyone still or whatever, like, employing his methods or what, so I like that they set up a bit of a history without really touching on it too much and extending the movie more than it should. I thought that was well done.
Yeah. And I thought Noah's motivations, considering the past CIA villains we've had, like we had the dude in the last one who betrayed the CIA like we talked about that in the last review, like, I bought it, but it was sort of, it felt a bit strange because he was so loyal for so long. This particular motivation, like, obviously, morality-wise, very, very sketchy, but I liked it. I think it made sense, why someone in that sort of role in the CIA who's leading these covert operations all the time would want the authority just to shoot on sight. That's essentially all it was, right? He just wanted the authority to kill without going to his supervisors.
That program had that authority already, basically. So, like, yeah, he was just using like excessive, amounts of units or whatever, like people to try and kill them. Because that's what Blackbriar was, it's the program for them to not have to call, Washington. That's what he said, or whatever. Have to call higher up, so he can just give orders to use the assets and people and stuff.
Yeah. So he was trying to stop that from being exposed, right? That was.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think so. The journals and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also because he has like, I think it's implied that he's abused the system a bit and he's been a bit too, forcible with it or whatever. He's used too much manpower.
Yeah, definitely. So, he has the conversation about, just matters is that we win,
Right, yeah. I mean, you can understand why he wants to kill Jason Bourne, because Jason Bourne can pretty much just expose everything, just do anything,
Oh, yeah, dude. Jason Bourne could kill, like, literally everyone in CIA headquarters by himself. Or actually, I'd rather watch the movie where he just trolls all of them. Like, he just plays pranks on them. But they're really creative, interesting pranks.
I mean, that's pretty much this movie.
Yeah, actually, it's true.
So,
last bit of trivia for you. Sorry, Fitz, you were going to
go. That was Jaden talking.
Oh, sorry, was it? Sorry, Jane, were you going to jump
I was going to mention something, but you might read it out now, so we'll see.
Will I?
We'll see.
I don't think so, but I don't know, we'll see. The cafe in Tangier that Nikki Parsons chooses as a meeting place is the Café de Paris. I love how I just said Paris with like a weird pronunciation for no reason, which was a popular haunt of spies and emissaries during Tangier's years as an international city. Some worldly learning for the audience right there. Hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to go ahead, Jane.
I was going to mention the fact, because I read in the trivia for that too, about like about the writing of this film, and how, you know, the bloke who wrote the first two, he kind of like just did a quick draft for this one, and then, you know, Damon said it was practically unreleasable or whatever, and like, you know, he was talking shit about like about that and stuff. And I think it's interesting because like I wonder how much of that draft is in this movie, because this is a pretty, you know, decently written, well written, you know, film. So I just thought I'd mention that.
That's a good point. And it feels like it has the same DNA of the previous films. Sensational. Great. Final verdict for the Bourne Ultimatum. Fitzy, go for it.
I think Supremacy and Identity are, I mean, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 still. I think it's a fantastic action movie. Some parts were, like the flashback scene and stuff was like, I thought there'd be greater and something in the present, but I think, like, there's just too many great parts of this film. I mean, Tangier's, you know, train sequence and everything, and I mean, yeah, so I think it's pretty fantastic. Oh, it's also like, I mean, like, you know, faster and quicker. I mean, the edit and pacing is a lot quicker, so still a 9 out of 10. I don't know if I prefer it, but yeah, I actually think I might, like, as we were talking about Supremacy, I was thinking it might be better than Identity, so Supremacy might be my favorite.
It's very high, Jaden.
I'm going to stick with an 8. Although I do think it you know, numerically it probably does deserve a 9, but just once again, that feeling that we talk about often. I do think it's a better 8 than Supremacy, and so I think like my ranking at the moment is Ultimatum, Supremacy, Identity. But I think the difference between Supremacy and Ultimatum is pretty slim. But yeah, I this one connected with me that bit more than Supremacy did.
Sure. I'll give it an 8 too. I don't like it quite as much as Supremacy. I almost got them mixed up. Yeah, little things I've mentioned that I think weigh it down a tad for me, but dude, no, still an awesome movie and really satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. Just didn't have quite that surprise, like I was taken aback by Supremacy when I watched it going in. So yeah, no, my ranking so far would be Supremacy, Ultimatum, Identity. Sick. Let's get into news chat. Who here has seen the Suicide Squad trailer? Raise your hand.
Yeah, so.
Oh, sick! Yay! We all saw it.
I love how you say "raise your hand" instead of like verbally confirm for a fucking audio show.
I thought it was more fun that way. It was for us anyway. I'm glad we've all seen it though. That's cool. I thought it was cool. I liked it a lot. You know, it met my expectations perfectly. I'm already quite higher in this movie.
Oh.
The sizzle reel we got.
Wait, sorry. I thought when you said I thought it was good, you were talking about the hand raising, but you're talking about the trailer now.
Oh no, I moved on. I did think that was good too, but I moved on to the film, to this trailer. I already had pretty solid expectations for it after the sizzle reel. The sizzle reel sold me on it. I'm like, dude, I believe in James Gunn. I believe in this cast. And yeah, I thought the trailer was fun. What did you guys think?
So it was okay. I thought the joke at the start with Harlequin was a bit bad, bit cringe. But
oh really?
Other than that, I mean, it's hard to tell with trailers like this because I mean, when Suicide Squad trailer came out, everyone was loving it, me included. I thought, like the original Suicide Squad trailer with the, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever, that was great, and it looked like it was going to have its own unique style. It was going to be a good original DC film, but obviously it was not. So, but I'm glad some cool actors are in it, like Idris Elba and, you know, John Cena, I guess, and all that. So could be fun.
I will I will make a counter argument to totally, it's a trailer. We're just talking about the trailer here. I got no idea what the movie's going to be like, obviously. But in support of the way in which this trailer is indicative of the quality of the film, potentially, like you said, a huge reason, I don't really remember the trailers to be honest, but a huge reason to my understanding of what you mentioned of why people liked the first Suicide Squad trailers, but it's because of Bohemian Rhapsody and the way it was cut together, right, with that music, I think.
Like edited really well.
Yeah. Right. And I personally thought all the really shining moments in this trailer were not just some music choices, some editing. I thought it was actually the moments we were seeing,
Yeah.
No, I think it was I think like when Starro appears is when I kind of bought into it a bit, but I think the rest of the trailer was kind of average. But
okay,
yeah, because
Starro? What was that?
The massive starfish,
dude. That appeared at the end.
I don't even remember that.
It's pretty hard to forget. Literally a big starfish is the villain of this movie, apparently.
Oh,
which is hilarious. And I can totally see why that made you buy into it, Jane, because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, because I think like the fact that I think what Liam was saying about the first Harley Quinn joke was a bit cringe. I think I found a lot of the lines in the trailer and a bit of the action was a bit cringy, especially the stuff with King Shark. I saw some people like saying King Shark was cool, but I think it was kind of played weirdly. I mean, it's fucking 2-minute trailer. Who knows what's going to be? But
I like the King Shark bits. I think he could
Sylvester Stallone is King Shark, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I think he could be a fun character.
I also like the King Shark bits.
Wow.
And I thought he looked amazing too. Like I assume it's a combination of
it looks pretty
some
good.
practical puppet thing and CG. It looked really good. And John Cena, I'm gonna probably think he's hilarious in this movie.
I didn't even see John Cena in the trailer.
Dude, he was
What?
He was like the biggest, other than Idris Elba, he was by far in the trailer the most.
I was making a joke, fuckhead.
Did you get it, Fitzy, and you were laughing at me, or were you laughing at me?
Wait, what was that? I knew what Jane
was joking. Jane was joking.
Because you can't see John Cena.
Who are you laughing at? Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so embarrassed I didn't get that. What were you laughing at, Fitzy? You need to confirm or deny if you're stupid or not.
Wait, hold on. What did Jane say that I'm confused about? I know he's saying, like, he's making the joke that it's me, but what did he say?
No, I was making a joke because you know how, like, with John Cena, you can't see John Cena.
You can't. Oh, okay.
I was making a joke, and like, Finney of all people doesn't pick up on it, and I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm not as embarrassed because I'm not a WWE maniac, so that's okay.
Your whole nickname is John Cena.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a WWE maniac to understand the "you can't see me" thing. I'm not asking you to tell me what match he had at SummerSlam 2016.
What match was it? Please.
AJ Styles beat him in a singles match.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Cool beans. All right, next up we got finally the confirmation of the fate of Black Widow. It's been long speculated. Will they stick to theaters? Will they go to Disney Plus? What are they doing over there at Marvel Studios? And they were very ride or die on the theater thing for ages, but they budged. Black Widow is now releasing July 9th, and it's coming to the Disney Plus Premier Access thing for people that can't go to the theater. Of course, our favourite service here on the show, Jaden's favourite Disney Plus offering that they do there. Yeah. But, yeah. So, I mean, we finally know what's happening. I'm excited to go and see it in the theatre, and I can at least, I feel sorry for everyone else, but we have the ability to treat it as a regular release, so that's cool. We've already talked about, like, how interested we are in this movie, right?
Yeah, like, fucking 30 episodes ago.
Oh, yeah, it might have been, yeah. Yeah, the whole fact it's a prequel is sort of... I don't know, I think it'll be solid, but, like, I'm not chomping at the bit.
I think I'm more interested than I was, because there hasn't been a lot of great Marvel movies in a while. There hasn't been any Marvel.
Hasn't been any.
Yeah.
Since Endgame. Oh, since Far From Home, sorry.
Right, yeah. Black Widow's a good character as well, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in Endgame, she's a good character.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%.
Like classic.
Is that a cat or is it a bird? What is that? Because I'm trying to figure out if it's coming from Finney's end or Fitzy's end.
It's
Or is
definitely
it-
not from my end, and it's a starving child.
This? That's my
It's
chair.
the chair creak.
What?
Yeah, I thought you guys knew this. Oh my god.
I know it creaks, and that's really annoying for me in the edit. But outside of that, though, that sounded like literal. It sounded like a human. It sounded like a living thing.
Really? That's funny.
It totally does, right? But that has not happened before, right?
No, I haven't heard it before.
That's significantly.
Really?
Unless.
That happens all the time.
Oh my god, is this like the biggest Snyder effect lore plot twist of all time? Are the children in Liam's cupboard? And he always says, we're like, yo, there are kids nearby. And Fitzy's always like, oh, I don't know where the kids are. Were the kids the entire time his chair?
Maybe.
No, because I swear you can hear like murmurations of like voices sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I swear that too. But I also swear to God that doesn't sound like a chair right now.
We need to
That's
get
insane.
we need to get the law keeper on this one.
This has completely blown my mind. I might just have to turn off the recording now. I just can't continue. All right, now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jada, what have you been watching?
Damn. I was gonna save the Justice League discussion for after, but I mean, like, I guess if we can just jump straight into Justice League.
Do you want to? Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Zack Finn's Justice League. Oh, please recut it, Finny. Please recut, or just put 6 hours worth of film in a timeline, and you cut it together.
I'm not joking. I thought about that for 2 seconds. I thought this Zack Snyder's Justice League could make a solid 2.5 hour movie. You know, thought about that.
Yeah, I thought it was a whole lot of average. You know, there's elements that are better, but then there's so much shit that's worse. I think, like, I mean, it's something we've talked about pretty extensively, when I'm watching about like Zack Snyder's use of slow mo, but like it's atrocious in this one. It really is, like, it really is like profoundly offensively overused, and like. And like it's like it's a lot of other shit like in post as well that kind of that's, you know, I think, like, you know, the CG looks bad, and I think the way it's shot it makes a lot of things look weird. Sorry, I don't think all the CG is bad, but there's some shit that's really bad. You know, that scene where Batman drives off with the Flash for the first time is shit.
Lex Luthor in the water.
Oh yeah, that was so fucking weird. That was worse than Mark Ruffalo in like the Hulkbuster suit in Infinity War. Like that was,
and that's saying something.
Yeah, that was bad.
I guess it was just like footage they had somewhere else, and they inserted him into the scene. I guess because that's the Anyway,
the acting for such famous names, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill was actually okay. But Gal Gadot was, dude, no. Gal Gadot, fucking whatever.
She's fine. I don't
Amy Adams, you know, I think Amy Adams is a great actress, and I think she's probably like one of my favorite of all time. But the fact that we see her crying for 5 separate shots before she has a spoken line is stupid. And there's like the way the movie opens with, you know, Batman screaming, and not Batman, fucking Superman screaming as he dies, and like and the shockwave rippling throughout the world is oh my god! It sounds like you're fucking at, you know, Spa-Francorchamps with F1 cars going up Eau Rouge, and it's just like that is coming through my ear fucking 80 times. And I think opening with that pissed me off, and like I think it kind of set a bad mood. But I think the movie's greatest credit is that it did not feel like 4 hours to me. So I think that's a great thing, because it genuinely did not feel like it was taking that long. And I think there are moments. I think the writing's very on off. I think sometimes there's some pretty decent stuff, but then there's also some dog shit stuff. And I think, like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like after everything, because I wasn't expecting anything, but I wanted so much, you know, and it's kind of left me in this weird place with the movie. And yeah, I don't know. How do you boys feel about that?
No, I mean, pretty much the same, but as what James said. But I mean, I thought the writing was pretty good in like the first half, and like some of the introductions, backstories, and all that. But I was mainly disappointed because I was expecting a lot more of a story than what Justice League gave us. Like, I thought Darkseid would be much more involved in the film. Obviously, like, it's a 4-hour film, so I thought, we're gonna have another 2 hours for Darkseid battle or something. But obviously, it's just everything was just extended, and like, if you make the slow-mo scenes like normal scenes, it's like a 3-hour movie, So it's like, but yeah, like Steppenwolf is just not that interesting of a villain anyway, so it's kind of just as good as the first one is in terms of story. But so I mean, it's better if it was 2 hours, but then it's a 4-hour movie, so never gonna watch it again. But then also the fact that it was, I mean, I don't mind in theory having an aspect ratio, an interesting aspect ratio thingamajig, but like, there were so many scenes where I just wanted it to be, widescreen and normal, and it just didn't. It got so. I mean, you have to watch that box for 4 hours. It's just, and it gets tired. It gets annoying after a while.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think
really average overall.
I mentioned it while we were watching it, like Zack Snyder goes for that, your classic hero shot towards the end when they've beat Steppenwolf and they're all standing on top of the fucking nuclear thing, and like, it's the best possible time for a wide shot to display your full team, but instead he has to kind of slowly pan across them and up them to kind of display them all together, and they're at this weird angle, and like, and I think we've been pretty critical of the ratio in the show, but I think beforehand I was saying he can justify throughout the movie if he shows it's worth it, but he does nothing to justify that aspect ratio at all.
Yeah,
man. I thought it had its moments. I had a good time watching
definitely.
it. Generally speaking, I don't disagree with any of the larger points you've made. I like Batfleck a lot still. Not how he's used in the action sequences,
but that's
always an inherent problem.
Yeah, it's always a problem with Batman in these bigger films.
Totally, yeah. Did not enjoy that at all. But I enjoy Batfleck as a character, 100%. And I think he has solid dialogue throughout too. His arc, I think, is solid, and I think it ends really well with that ending Martian Manhunter scene. The whole Martian Manhunter thing is weird, but I appreciate it's just fan service. Zack's just like throwing it in there. That reshot scene is sort of necessary for Batfleck in the movie, in the sense of Martian.
Sorry.
Wow, did ya?
I thought everything in the last half an hour with the fan service thing was terrible. I mean, the Joker scene, the Martian Manhunter scene where Affleck's like 5 years older, and
did you not like the way they were? Like, what did you not like about them?
It just felt so like unjointed and like disjointed and like random, and the Joker thing 100%. Was terrible. The Joker's whole speech was just not. I don't know. I don't like his performance there, but there's like 5 post-credit scenes or whatever you call it, like
just thrown into the epilogue. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, from any traditional filmmaking, editing, structural perspective, it's terrible, and it's completely unconventional in a bad way. I completely agree, but I sort of make an exception in the sense of, from a structural perspective, like, I like the Joker scene. I think it's. I mean, I didn't love it. I'm not dorking out to it, but I thought, okay, well, that was a cool little exchange they had. But I sort of give him the benefit of the doubt because we understand, the circumstances in which this film was made and how it's created, and the whole really interesting behind the scenes story and fan uprising to get this released. And with that real life context, which I understand doesn't, I totally get your argument, it doesn't really impact the quality of the film itself, but just having that understanding while watching it, I think I can accept it. I'm like, okay, people really want this. He's just trying to make people happy with this, and clearly people are really happy with it. So, from any actual structural perspective, it makes no sense. Absolutely.
Just to close off, I think we were in like media year 12. We are just talking about like the difference in the way that like Gal Gadot has been shot in Wonder Woman, and then when you put a male director behind the thing, and like it is so like obvious, like like I think like we don't really, I think we've briefly spoken about like the male gaze and whatever in like some other parts, but like it's very obvious in this, like, because like there's so many like upskirt shots of like Wonder Woman, and there's like there's like the way she's shot is so much more sexualized than she was in like Wonder Woman with Patty Jenkins, and like it was just
really?
yeah. Dude, the first shot we get of Wonder Woman is her standing on the fucking Lady Justice thing or whatever, and it's just straight up her skirt, mate.
I thought that kind of thing was like much more reduced than like the Joss Whedon version there. Like,
I mean, probably was,
but
like it's still prevalent throughout.
I honestly didn't notice, but that side by side comparison, that sounds really interesting. Not good. Sorry, the point I was making, I really like Batfleck's overall arc. I understand. No, it's not your fault. It's actually Fitz's fault, if anyone's, but it's fine. And I like, obviously, I don't know if you guys know what Justice League 2 and 3 were meant to be. That's what this movie teases. But and like the story gets nuts. It gets insane. I would have loved to have seen it released in some way and it totally break the minds of critics. But this was obviously not meant to be the ending of Batman's story in these movies. But the way that he caps that off with that Martian Manhunter scene, I thought was solid. Him telling him these parents would be proud of him and him finding his humanity in the movie. Because that's, everyone hates that Batman kills in Batman vs Superman. I like it. And I think it makes, I think this movie does an even better job at justifying it, of it actually playing into his character development. Of like, we meet him in BVS and he doesn't believe in anything. He's a terror, he's damaged and he has no morality anymore. And then he sort of regains that through the sacrifice of Superman and the events of this movie. I think it's cool. Quick shout out to the scene where Superman gets the black suit.
Yeah, what was your highlight of the week?
Yeah, Empty Man, which is a horror film from last year. It's out on VOD. It's kind of like went under the radar a lot because of the whole like Disney buying what was it? Fox or whatever. What was it, Fox? I don't know. So he was one of the films. He was one of the directors who got like into that mess kind of, and it was going to be a big release. It was going to be a normal theatrical release, but then that happened, and it was like, okay, well, we'll just release this like 90-minute version of the movie on VOD, but then screenings like this 2-hour 17 version performed a lot better, so they're just like, okay, whatever, we'll let you release this. And I mean, it's very like, it's pretty cool that the studio gave him all this money for this, because like it's a very conceptual, very different kind of horror movie. It's like it's very like psychological and like ambiguous, and it's really great. It's just it has this one horror set piece kind of thing. It's really simple, but it's like really cool, and yeah, it's a great movie. It's just about like cults and like the psychological becoming real, and it's just really interesting, and it is scary at points as well, which is what you want from a horror movie. But yeah, it's kind of like people are saying it's like it's going to be like a cult movie, which it kind of like it already is in some ways. So yeah,
I'm surprised by the response from it by a lot of people, including you, because like looking at the trailers and the synopsis, it seems very Slender Man, Bye Bye Man type-esque, like teen trash. And like, is it in that vein, or is it completely different and the trailers missell it?
I think it's different. I think, yeah, the trailers make it seem like that kind of January horror trash kind of thing, but it is doing a lot of different things. I mean, it starts with a 15-minute prologue with none of the main characters in it. I mean, one character comes back, and then it's like, there's a lot of ideas in the film. It's basically about like there's this thing in the film like thought plus concentration plus time plus flesh or something. It's like all these like ambiguous things happening, and the ending really goes in a different direction, which I really enjoyed. And like, there's not a lot of jump scares or anything like that. Like, it's not that kind of genre horror film. So yeah, it's different, I think. But I think some people think it's that even after they watch it. So I don't know. I guess it's a bit of both. I guess I don't know. But yeah.
See, that right there, was that the chair?
Yeah, that was a chair.
Oh my God, Jane, I think it was the chair the whole time. I'm actually going to take that side.
Does this mean we get rid of the children law? Or is
No,
that,
absolutely not. No, we'd have to get rid of that.
Okay.
We're going to actually go to your house and install children to make sure that it can be part of the law.
Let me quickly tell you about Making Their Mark. This is an Amazon Prime documentary all about AFL people. I'm almost finished it, and it's cool, man. You know, if you're into footy, you're going to like this. I think you're going to like the inside look you get into a bunch of different clubs. And the idea is that it follows the clubs last year. Amazon documentaries, you can just tell the amount of footage they would get is insane, and the amount of cool, revealing moments you get is really neat. From what I can tell, it seems like the camera crew was just following them around at all times. But you follow them basically as they deal with COVID and the ramifications of that on their family lives and the game, and how they ended up having to, move around the country, obviously, last year for that. And it's really interesting, and I really appreciate the choices they make. That we follow about 6 clubs, I think, and they very deliberately choose who we follow in each club. We follow a few players, obviously, as you'd imagine, but we follow coaches, we follow CEOs, and a vast array of different perspectives of the hierarchy, of an AFL football club. And I think it's really insightful. Nothing on paper, I don't think that's like, dude, earth-shattering. Like, can you believe how AFL clubs are run? They do this. It's like, what? Like, nothing like that. But just seeing it all play out, especially how they deal with that COVID situation, it's really insightful and interesting if you think that'd be up your alley.
You'd like Drive to Survive. Yeah. It's a Netflix F1 documentary, and it's pretty much in the same vein.
Oh.
And this new season that dropped, it deals with last season, which was about navigating COVID and stuff like that. So
that's cool. It's about navigating. It's about maneuvering COVID.
Yeah, right, Vinny. Let's move on.
Let's move on. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you for a highlight of the week. That's it. Sorry, almost forgot. We asked you what you've been watching. Luke wrote in and said, I've been slowly rewatching the Marvel movies. It's going pretty good, and it's nice to get some nostalgia from the earlier movies. He then refused to tell me which film he was up to until I asked, and he said Iron Man 2. So he's going very slowly, but I appreciate it. I want to revisit Iron Man 2 because I watched it once and don't even have an opinion on it, but I know people don't seem to like it. I don't really know.
I used to really like it.
Did you? So thank you, Luke. Thank you. Let us know. Keep us updated on that one. Andy said, a movie that I watched recently was Spike Lee's Inside Man last weekend. That was my highlight of the past 2 weeks. This was the 3rd Spike Lee film I've ever watched. The other 2 have been Black Klansman and Do the Right Thing. For me, this was a hefty and clever crime thriller. Clive Owen's attempt of doing a New York accent just sounds obvious, as you can mostly hear his British accent trying to slip out, but he just puts on an extremely cool performance. He is just natural and fun to watch as a robber. Thank you for bringing up accents, Andy. You know what I like. Denzel deserves a mention too. He plays off Clive really well, but this film was all about Clive. Clive Owen is England's very own Andy Lau from Internal Affairs. There, I've said it. Did I also mention Willem Dafoe was in this movie? No, you didn't, but that's going to make a movie better. I'm not going to lie, do you guys get Clive Owen is England's very own Andy Lau from Internal Affairs? Am I being dumb? Do you see what he's trying to say? Because I don't even know what he's trying to say.
I mean, I can see what he's
really
trying
bad.
to
I'm sorry, Andy.
I can see what he's trying to say, but I don't think that... fuck it, he's seen more Andy Lau than I have. I'll let him have that.
But what's he trying to say?
Well, he's trying to say that Clive Owen plays the same role as Andy Lau does in Infernal Affairs, but that's just not the case.
Yeah, it's not. But I don't think so. Yeah.
We're calling you out here, Andy. Anyway, thank you very much, Andy. I'm sorry we disapproved of your final comments, but we appreciate you bringing up the accents. I feel like I want to watch that movie now just for that reason. And Denzel Washington, you can't go wrong, right? What? Oh yeah, hang on, we can't do this. I didn't even consider this when we asked the question of like, oh yeah, so what are our highlights of the week?
Well, it's okay because we've already got a really long episode.
Yeah, you're totally right. Anyway, so sorry about that. That's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect, I guess. Thank you very much for tuning in and sticking by us on this one. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
Godzilla versus Kong. That one is...
Did you say Godzilla's versus Kong? Did I just see?
No, I don't think so.
Because, dude, I'd be down. That could be the sequel. You know, it's like Aliens and what's the other one? They do
Predators.
Predators, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like that. Godzilla's versus just Kong still, though. The handicap.
I mean, there could be the other Godzilla we're talking about, the like mecha character, but it's it's in theaters, so it's not on the streaming service. So, yeah.
Well, it's on HBO Max if you're in the US, people.
Yeah, damn Yanks.
If the 1.5 of you that live in the US listening to this. So yeah, all right, that's it for us. Thanks everyone once again. I appreciate you, Jade and Fitzy, as always, for chatting shit and breaking down the Snyder cut as we needed to do for therapy. And yeah, have a great rest of your week, everyone, and goodbye.